Hello friends! Today I wanted to do something a little bit different than normal book stuff, though there will be books. I wanted to kind of give you a walkthrough of my Booktube journey, but do so by sharing my favorite booktubers. By no means is this going to be an exhaustive list of every booktuber that I watch or that I love to watch. These are going to be the ones that have had some kind of direct impact on me and this channel. So everyone that I talk about, of course, will be linked down in the description, so be sure to check out anybody you have a spark of interest with. And we're just going to kind of go through this in a chronological order, starting with my discovery of Booktube. For most of my early YouTube watching was of beauty and makeup channels. I really had no interest in watching people do stupid pranks or any of the other things that were typical of YouTube in the early years. And one YouTuber that I watched all the time was EmilyFox. And in one of her videos, she mentioned that she had a second channel that was all about books. And that certainly piqued my interest. So of course I followed the link to that second channel, and my entire world changed. I had no idea that this side of the internet existed. Everything all about books. No clue. Not a clue. It was a complete paradigm shift in my reality that I am so very grateful for. I discovered Emily's Booktube channel in February of 2017. I find myself having a lot in common with Emily. I love her spunk and her directness, both of which I have a lot of. Our reading tastes are also quite similar. She reads a lot of sci-fi, which is unusual in the Booktube world, but I really enjoy it. So I get many recommendations from her. And on the rare occasion I read nonfiction, it's usually some kind of science literature, which Emily also reads a lot of. And plus, it gives me so much joy anytime Steve the Squirrel makes an appearance. And one of those recommendations, because I can't have a Booktube video without mentioning books, so I'm going to give you a book that I either have read and loved or want to read based on a recommendation from each of these people. And the recommendation I want to give you from Emily was one that I read this year, and that was Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I really enjoyed this one. It's sort of a first contact with aliens sort of things with these big giant intelligent spiders, which sounds weird, and it kind of is, but it was so much fun and it was so well thought out and planned and developed that I just had such a good time with it. I really loved it. And then after browsing Booktube for about a year, I finally found the kind of content that I love to consume, which is the cozy content. So late 2017, early 2018 was really the height of my bullet journal phase. So I was watching a lot of bullet journal videos then, and one such video in January of 2018 by Ashley from AFrolicThroughFiction particularly caught my attention. And I really enjoyed the feeling of her journaling video, and so it kind of made me interested to kind of go check out her channel and see what else she posts. And hey, lo and behold, she is a booktuber. I immediately felt right at home among Ashley's videos, and I absolutely fell in love with her vlogs. Her vlogs were the very first time I experienced content that was stylized or romanticized to showcase, as Ashley puts it, life's small magics. And until then, I didn't know YouTube could be this way. Up until then, my experience with vlogs were just these endless clips of people talking in the same place, even though supposedly time had passed in between. But Ashley changed all of that, and she made me want more out of YouTube, and I can't go back now. And out of all the booktubers I watch, and not just the ones on this list, but of all of them that I watch, I find that I have the most in common with Ashley in terms of our reading tastes. And over the years, I have gotten countless recommendations from her, but the one I'm going to highlight right now is actually one I have not read yet, but it's These Violent Delights by Micah Nemerever. This one I am so excited to get to. She has raved about this for a couple of years now, that I remember she talks about it all the time, and I finally, earlier this year, actually bought it, and I've been waiting for the fall to come, back to school time to come, because it is a dark academia book, and she raves about it so much, and I'm so excited to read this. I plan on reading this in September at the perfect dark academia time, and I am so excited to read this book. And then nearly 2 years later, in December of 2019, I found the high queen of cozy, stylized content, Miss MorganLong. I can't tell you how happy I am that Morgan exists out in the world. She has brought me so much comfort and joy over these last 2 years. Morgan's videos make you feel like you belong and are welcomed among friends, and they are filled to the brim with whimsy and wonder. If you ever are having a bad day or week or month or year, just close your eyes and click on any one of her videos, and you will instantly be swaddled in a soul-embracing hug. Our reading tastes don't quite exactly align, but she does dip in and out of fantasy and sci-fi, and I dip in and out of contemporaries and literary fiction, and so we do have some crossover, and there's been many books that I've added to my eventual TBR, and even some that I've already read. One of which is Wildwood by Colin Meloy. This is a middle grade fantasy book set in Portland, Oregon, and it was really, really sweet. It was so whimsical, full of talking animals and this big grand adventure into the forest right in the middle of Portland. And the illustrations, oh my goodness, the illustrations were incredible. I think that may have been my favorite part of that book, but I very much enjoyed that one. And then, so nearly 3 years of watching Booktube, in that same month, December of 2019, I decided to start my first channel, which was actually not this channel. This is my second channel. My first channel is actually an accessible travel channel. So back, before the world ended, my cousin Jessica and I actually did a lot of traveling, and traveling with a disability is extremely daunting. It's so much more involved than just finding a hotel that fits your budget, right? We have to find a hotel that fits our budget, but we also have to make sure that I can use the hotel, right? Can I use the shower? Can I use the toilet? Can I use the bed? Are all of those things going to work for me? Of course we would research as best we could, find other travel blogs and blogs to find out, what they thought and all of that, which is very helpful. We still do that. But they never gave us the information that was vital to us and my needs. And so we decided, why not put that information out there for other people? We know we are not the only people out there who need this specific type of information. And so in December of 2019, we formed Wheels and Heels. And it is mostly informational, right? We do reviews of hotels and cruise ships and cruise port cities and all of that. And we also share kind of how we make things work when they're not specified to our needs. So it's all, you know, fairly informational and important, and we do plan on continuing, even though shortly after we formed that channel, we kind of had to stop traveling. But we have traveled, we've started traveling again, and I do actually have a whole backlog of footage that I need to go through and get up. But it's still strictly just informational. There's not a whole lot of creativity that goes into it. That channel is where I learned the basics of editing, right? How to take the footage, chop it up into a string that makes sense. But as an experiment, we did film a couple of vlogs, and that was the first time I ever really got to be creative in the video making process and the editing process. And as it turns out, I absolutely love it. That is my favorite part of making videos, this whole process. I know most people hate editing, it is tedious, but I love it. I love being able to take that raw footage and mold it into whatever I want it to be, right? I can change the mood of an entire video by maybe slightly shifting the color tone or choosing the right music, right? I love that part. And then at the end, you actually get this finished product, and it's so satisfying. I love it. And so after discovering that I really enjoy creatively editing videos, but aren't too big on travel vlogs just because, one, they're out in public, which no, and we've only taken one trip ever that's just been the two of us, and so there's always other people around, which makes it awkward and weird. So vlogging on that channel is probably going to be limited to very few or maybe none. I really loved it, and so I didn't want to give it up. So an almost a year after we started Wheels and Heels, I started this channel, this Booktube channel, in September of 2020. And I know that I don't make as many vlogs as I would like, but when I do make vlogs, I try my best to give you even the tiniest taste of the content that I love to consume, right? I strive to give you even a sliver of that cozy comfort and joy that I love to watch so much. And in return, you give me a sense of community. I have been a reader my entire life, but I'm really the only person in my everyday life who is, so I've never really had anyone to talk books with, right? Until now, until I discovered Booktube. There's just this special kind of camaraderie when you are with your fellow book lovers. And, you know, very rarely do I actually comment on the larger channels that I watch, and I always feel like I'm annoying them because by the time I get to their videos, they already have, you know, 100+ comments, and I really don't have anything to say that hasn't already been said by 15 other people in various ways, so I just don't. And while I still kind of get that sense of community just by watching them, it's not the same as having that back and forth direct connection or interaction with someone. So about a month after I started my channel, my Booktube channel, I found Paige from thePMreader, and I found her, it was through a blog. I don't remember what the blog was about, but I do remember one specific scene in which she was drinking from a Mickey or Minnie mug, and it was sat upon a supernatural coaster. And I immediately knew I had found my people. Paige was the first channel I started to consistently comment on and have that two-way interaction with. And I've also gotten to know her better through the book club Discord this year, and she is just the sweetest human to be around. I've also learned that our thoughts on books are remarkably similar, almost identical at times. So I know that I can trust Paige's recommendations. I know that if she loves a book, I will love the book. If she doesn't care for it, I know I can safely skip it. And one of those such books that I am so grateful to have read from Paige was The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. Now, of course, this book was around a lot when it first came out, and many people said they really loved it, and it was kind of on my radar. Like, I wanted to read it, but I wasn't sure, wanted to do it right then, and that kind of thing. But it was Paige's pure love for this book that really pushed me over the edge of, yes, I'm going to read this book. And oh my goodness, if you've read it, and it is just the sweetest, most heartfelt, warm book I have ever read, and I am so happy that I read it. Thank you, Paige. And then about a year later, in January of 2021, I discovered Ray from Ray of Sunlight. I actually think I may have found her through one of Morgan's recommendations, but she is another cozy content creator that I love to watch. I would describe Ray as the quintessential heroine ripped directly from the pages of a classic novel. She is sweet and demure, but strong of mind, and we don't have a ton of crossover in our reading taste. She is a connoisseur of classics, but she has such eloquence in describing the way books make her feel that even if it's something I would never pick up for myself, hearing her speak about it makes me instantly not just want to read it, but have a need to read it. And she really helps to broaden my reading horizon. She also reads a lot of middle grade books, which are usually the recommendations I take from her, and one of which was The Dollmaker of Krakow by R.M. Romero. This is a historical fiction World War II children's book. It's ever so slightly got a fantasy element to it, but it's definitely not something I would have chosen for myself, but I am very glad that I read it. It was very, very sad given the topic of what it was. It was about the Nazi invasion into Poland and what that meant for all of the Jewish people in the community. It was really hard to read at times, but it was a very special book that I enjoy, maybe the wrong word to use here, but I enjoyed my reading of it. During that same year, I gained my first consistent commenter on my own channel. My friend Deborah has made a point to comment on nearly every single video I've posted since then, and that gives me such a boost of confidence and perseverance to keep creating content. And not long after Deborah became a viewer of my channel, she started her own channel in September of 2021 called Bookin with Debra. I am so honored to have the opportunity to be a part of Deborah's Booktube journey. From the very beginning, I've watched every single video she has posted, and I try to be as a consistent a commenter on her channel as she is on mine. She too has such a way of expressing her thoughts on books that really get me interested in reading them. One of those books is The First Woman, well, it's called The First Woman everywhere in the world except in the US, where it's called A Girl is a Body of Water by Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi. And I have not read this one yet, but I am very intrigued by it. It's a retelling of Ugandan mythology, the first woman being sort of akin to Eve in Christian mythology. So I'm very intrigued because you don't really get a lot of retellings from Africa other than Egyptian mythology. So I'm very intrigued by that one, and I can't wait to get to it. And there you have it. There is my booktube journey and all of the booktubers that have inspired me along the way. I know this is an ever-changing, ever-growing list, and I can't wait to see who gets added in the future. And maybe you were able to find someone new to add to your own list. If you have made it this far, leave me the dancing people in cat costumes emoji to represent friendship and community. I thank you so much for being here, and I hope that means I see you soon.